I felt the Lord leading me into a small sermon series on the attributes of God. The first one that I'd like to do this morning is about the omniscience of God. In studying who God is and about His attributes, it needs to also apply to our own lives. If we understand that God is omniscient, what does that mean to us? How does that impact my life? How does it change the way I live my life? How does it change the way I speak? How does it change the way I behave? It needs to affect us personally as well, and that is why it is important to understand the attributes of God. A right conception of God is basic not only to systematic theology but also to practical Christian living as well. So we need to go to the scriptures to understand who God is and what are His attributes. And one of those important attributes about our God is that He is an omniscient God. And so to understand who our God is will definitely alter our lives and definitely dictate the way we live our lives. If we really don't have the right conception of who our God is, we probably will live our lives as we please. So that is why it is important for us to understand the attributes of God. In Psalm 139, "O Lord, you have examined my heart, and you know everything about me." Would you like people to know everything about you? Are there things that you kind of want to hide away from people? Certain aspects of your life, certain behavioral patterns, or certain your reactions and stuff, or your habits, or your thought patterns that you'd like to hide away from people? We don't like everybody to know everything about us. But the Bible tells us that we have a God, we worship a God who knows everything about us, including those things which you have kept hidden away from everybody else. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. Is this how much you know about me, God? That you know every inch, every little thing that I do, every thought that crosses my mind, even before I could even say a word? Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. That's what we are calling as omniscience. And then, what are the other implications? The fact that God is omniscient teaches us that God is watching us all the time, and therefore we cannot sin, or we need to stay away from sin, or maybe we need to flee from sin and live a holy life. Genesis chapter 39 verses 7 to 10 tells us about Joseph, who understood that God was omniscient and that nothing was hidden from his sight, and therefore he flees from that sinful, sin-inducing location. An understanding of God's omniscience should make us flee from sin. The reason why you are not fleeing from sin and you're still playing with sin is because you have not realized that God is all-knowing, that God knows everything, even the ones that you do in secret. It also tells us, if we understand our God knows everything, that He is omniscient, He is like in thorough knowledge of everything that's happening in our lives, we'll understand that we are not alone. God is aware of our struggles. We're talking about an omniscient God, and that should change the way we live our lives, the way we feel about our present situations that we're going through. In conclusion, I'd like to say, if you're not a Christian, the doctrine of God's omniscience should terrify you. God knows all your sin, and not only does He know all your sin, but will also judge you for your sin. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 14 says, "For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil." If you're not a Christian, I believe what we have just heard should make us run to Jesus, set things right with God right now. That's how the psalmist concludes the psalm in Psalm 139 when he prays and he says, "God, search me, O God, know my heart. Try me, O Savior, know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting."